Welcome back to This Week in Agribusiness. Max, there are a couple of stories we talk about, it seems, time and time again. One of them recently has been the Waters of the U.S. rule. We've seen so much back and forth on that. Court hearings and court decisions are coming down right now. It's a big issue.
It was one we wanted to pursue this week with the president of the largest farm group in the country at the American Farm Bureau. Zippy Duvall was in his office. As we came calling, I asked him about that. Give us a little perspective from your group on what's happening with what they call WOTUS, Waters of the United States.
Well, that ping pong just keeps bouncing back and forth from one end of the table to one administration to the other, and we're really looking for somewhere where it can settle and give us something that we can make long-term planning off of. Unfortunately, we had encouraged this administration to wait about releasing this rule, but they decided they'd go ahead and do it. We was trying to get them to wait for the second case to be ruled on in the Supreme Court. We think that if that ruling comes down the right way, they'll have to take the new rule back to the drawing board. So we're very disappointed in how it's come down. But now we've had a stay by one of the district federal judges to not allow this ruling to go in effect for Texas and Idaho. And I think that sends a strong message to EPA that they've really overstepped their bounds again.
The courts have become a very important place to resolve issues for farmers. Sometimes you just can't get the answer out of Congress. How do you address that? How would you summarize that for a Farm Bureau member watching?
Well, unfortunately, we all do end up in the courts, and whether it's us against the government or whether it's the environmental groups against the government, they have to walk that tightrope over to EPA to try to minimize those. But we depend on sound science, and we depend on sound science to guide all regulations and all policies that are passed. And and that's what we keep harping on. You got to use sound science to do that. And in the absence of being able to find the right way through regulation and do it by sound science, then we have to revert to what we might can do on the Hill through a pass of a law that might control that. So we continue to work at ways to try to minimize the damage these rules and regulations would have on our farms and our farm communities.
Seems like we've seen in a number of administrations the strength of the Environmental Protection Agency administrator. It's almost more influential, that individual, on farmers and ranchers in this country than the Ag Secretary is.
It is, and you would hope that they do a lot of discussion between the two departments. And historically, we've had EPAs and USDAs that haven't talked to each other at all. I don't think that's the situation now. I do think that Secretary Vilsack and Administrator Regan do talk and talk about things before they turn loose of rulings. But this one, we're on the opposite side, and we're going to continue to fight against Waters of the U.S. and anything that's going to come down the pipe to affect our farmers' ability to continue to be sustainable.
What's your sense about the sentiment among members of Congress on Waters of the United States? Where are they?
I think the majority of them are concerned about the overreach of the federal government. But I think they all are just like all the farmers. We know that we're stewards of the natural resources and the water that comes off our place, and we're interested in doing the right thing. But we just think this rule goes way too far. It really muddied the water, and it makes it difficult for us to understand what areas are waters of the U.S., what are not. And we just think we deserve to have a rule that doesn't require us to have a bank of lawyers or consultants to help tell us what we can and can't do on our farm.
It's one of those stories that just goes on and on. Maybe there will be finally one of these days a conclusion, and farmers know then where they stand.
That would be nice. I think folks across the country would be relieved to see some consistency on that issue, Max.
We look forward to seeing you next weekend here, pal. You will be here, won't you?
I will be here, yes, sir.
We'll be checking. We'll take attendance with you. And with you too, folks. Thanks for joining us for This Week in Agribusiness. Have a great, safe week. This Week in Agribusiness is brought to you by Case IH. This Week in Agribusiness is produced by Omax Communications in association with 22 Creative Group. We invite you to visit us online at agbizweek.com.